Record to the
Got it.
Got it.
Got it. Recording in progress.
Okay, there's a few more people I was expecting. That's good. I had a message. Oh no, Kim's made it. She told me she was going to the pub and might not make it back. I was like, well, that's going to be a session, isn't it? If she's there, she is. Are you sober, Kim?
I am. Well, I'm a few pints down, but I'm here.
Excellent. Spoken like a true Welsh woman. I like it.
Goodness knows what my notes will say, but we'll go with it.
Fair enough. Good. Right. Okay, guys. Look, we're going to basically tonight. We're just going to talk about kind of photography that you can do indoors. We're going to look at some pictures that John and I have got and have taken. I don't know how long ago now. I don't know. Has it even been in the shops yet? We had to do a big indoor feature for Digital Camera Magazine. So
No, it hasn't. It hasn't come out yet.
No. It hasn't come out yet. Okay. So we would be messing around and playing around, doing bits and pieces. Plus, some of you guys have also sent me some images which we can have a look at. So we'll intersperse some of our pictures with your pictures. There's no great form to it. It's a chat. It's a sort of a live podcast, for want of a better term, I suppose, is the way that we're looking at it. So I don't know, how do we want to kick this off, John? What I'm going to do is obviously I'm going to share screen so that you can see the images as I pull them up, and hopefully we can all look at them. So let me just start doing that. John, just talk a little bit about why indoor photography actually gives you loads of different opportunities, because it does, doesn't it? Because often people think, oh, it's a bit boring doing stuff indoors, but actually it's the time you get really creative.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fantastic opportunity to shoot stuff indoors because you're in complete control of everything. Normally, when we're outside shooting photographs, we're acting in a kind of reactive capacity. So you're waiting for nature to serve something up so you can react to it and get the shot. Whereas indoors, you're actually very much in the driving seat. You really are behind the wheel on it because you control every aspect. And that's a good thing if you're a control freak, but it's also a bad thing because if you get anything wrong, it was your fault. You know, you can't blame anyone else.
Well, I think we should be control freaks. If we're photographers to some degree, as a hobby or as a way of making a living, then you have to be a control freak to some degree, don't you?
Yes, you do. But I think that a lot of things about outdoor photography is you put yourself in a kind of a pomo, a position of maximum opportunity. And if you're there at the right place at the right time, then you have the opportunity to get the shot. With indoor photography, you can do it day or night, whenever you take the fancy, whenever it takes your fancy. So you can just get on with it. But there's no reaction involved. You have to really conceptualize and think through every aspect of it. And here's we could start with the spark of an idea.
I thought we should
inflame our imaginations.
Or very
perhaps
good.
do a bit of matchmaking.
What was that terrible headline we came up for with the magazine? They may have changed it. What was that? Game
Flame set and match.
That was it. Flame set and match. We were very proud of that. But anyway, look, we're going to start with this shot that we did, and you might think that actually taking a photo of something as simple as a match just sparking into life is easy. Actually, to get a good shot of it proved quite tricky, didn't it, John?
I think we got through probably most of a large box of matches, getting the right kind of flare and, of course, the right timing. Because this one, there is that element of luck in this kind of shot that you have to get your timing right. It's a bit like shooting water drops. Anyone who's done that without a trigger to actually fire the camera at the right time, this is down to luck as to when you shoot it. And generally, what the easiest way to do this is to set the fastest frame rate your camera can muster, and then blat off frames as you're striking it. But if you do it on your own, you'll find there's sort of there's quite a cognitive skill involved in actually lighting the match with another match, getting that other match out of the way, and pressing the shutter at the same time, even with a motor drive going. So it's quite a fun technique, and you may find that getting a decent match light shot could take you probably a good 20 minutes of solid concentration and lots of failed attempts.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that one of the, obviously, please don't burn your house down if you do this, but it's actually quite a good fun thing to do. So effectively, how we did this was as simple as it sounds. It's just a match stuck in a bit of blue tack on a desktop. somewhere. Actually, I think I put a tile underneath it, so I didn't accidentally set light to something. So if it did fall over, it didn't matter. Camera on the tripod. Obviously, you're going to pre-focus. We put some a black card or black. It was a bit of black cloth actually in this case behind, and it didn't have to drop underneath because it's just going to be knocking that out. And then say pre-focus, and then as John says, putting it onto the fastest motor drive. It's actually interesting because I tried a few shots of this. I tried some on a 5D and some on the 1DX. Obviously, the 1DX is much faster motor drive. You get a different feel to it. You get a different feel and look to the way the flame goes and the point you get it. And so you have to start shooting before the match is lit. So you've got quite a lot of shots of someone's hand in the shot, whether it's yours or in my case it was John's hand in there doing it. But when you get the one or two shots from the sequence that you're playing around with, that gives you this nice shape, and the one that obviously attracted us, this is the shot we used in the mag, wasn't it? I think in the end, yeah, was obviously that nice flickering kind of the way that the shape of the flame goes up. It's almost that perfect flame shape. But so it is incredibly simple to do, not easy, but incredibly effective. In fact, let me just here's another one here. This is one you've done before, John. I think I'm going to show now.
They used a lighter background, which I don't think is quite as successful as the black, but that's got the butterfly flare, and that's a much
the butterfly flare
as well.
That's right. We got a few butterfly flares on the other one as well, but just talk about that butterfly, because it's that point of ignition, isn't there, where you get this sort of.
Yeah, and it's where you light, because if you position one match in your blue tack, so that's your subject, and you pre-focus on the match head, but where you light it from, or what you use to light it, I guess you could use one of those sort of hot butane lighters that kind of squirts out a flare. That would probably work, but it would probably be too quick. We just used another match.
Just use a flamethrower.
A flamethrower would do it,
yeah, I think so.
But if you use another match and you light it from one side, it will flare out on the opposite side. Or sometimes will flare towards the match you've got in place. So this one was lit from above, so you actually touch the lit match on the head vertically against the other one, and that's how we did the other one. That's how you get more symmetry with it. But it's quite a fascinating little exploration of physics and matches and how they flare. And exposure is really tricky to get it right.
Good
because
point.
You'll notice if you look at a standard boxer, Swan Vestas or whatever, the amount of sort of ignition source, the actual match head itself, varies between each match, and depending on how much you've got and how quickly it flares depends on what your exposure will be. So you're kind of guessing to a degree. So there's a lot of hit and hope involved in this, and you'll need to shoot raw so you can process it afterwards to get the colors and the brightness absolutely spot on. But yeah, that's one little project that we takes longer than you'd think, but is well worth doing. The macro lens, really simple setup, and you can have some fun with that.
Yeah, I think genuinely we did actually have a lot of fun with something so simple. I was like, but I didn't expect it to be so tricky. Right, let's have a look at a Photo Buzzers.
How many boxes of matches were there used?
Oh, not here. Well, I don't know. We used maybe
about half a large box to get that one shot.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, something like that.
Probably had 60 matches.
The worry that I had. Sorry, I'm just going to, while I'm finding another picture. In fact, Paul, while you're talking, we're going to look at some of your stuff, and so I'm going to have a look at the thing that you sent me. The thing that I had worry was that we did it downstairs at my office here, in the building that a room we used downstairs for doing a lot of filming and setting stuff up. The trouble is, we've got fire alarm stuff here, so I was panicking. I was going to set the fire alarms off, and then I'd get shouted at by the wife. But anyway, right, okay, Paul, don't worry. I'm just going to show a couple of things here. This is from Paul Barron. Now, Paul, don't say anything at the moment, all right? Just wait for it. So so you sent me a couple of behind the scenes shots, which are great. So this is Paul's little setup at home. No matches used, but obviously camera on a tripod, and his subject, a bottle of whatever it was, Prosecco or wine or something there, which is great. So that's one I want to show you, and then I want to show you the next shot. Tell me if I'm going too fast, guys, so I can slow down, just because I know sometimes it takes a moment to kind of appear, longer view. And then what we've got here is a torch that's got some tape on it. Yeah, it's got some tape on it. Yeah. Okay, so snooted, yes, a good way of putting it. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you Paul's results, which is this, which I'm big on the screen. There we go. Okay, so Paul, because you were doing this on your Olympus using one of the functions in those of you who've got Olympus here, quite a few of you. So do you want to just talk us through this shot?
Yeah, I used what is called live composition.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that, you go into bulb mode on the camera and you turn it all the way to the left beyond 60 seconds. And then you go through, you eventually end up at live comp. And then it's a bit of trial and error. You can set the shutter speed and the interval between shots being taken. And the idea is that you can see your picture being built up over a time frame. And you continue taking pictures until you feel that you've got your image correct. And what I did was, this torch I got is only the smallest Maglite torch. So it doesn't throw out much of a beam. You can just about see that. It's quite a strong beam as it is. The reason why I put tape around the end of the torch is to stop light bleed out, to give a more directional beam of light. Now, in order to get that mirror effect, that was quite interesting. I really wanted a mirror, but I didn't have a mirror. But I got a archive box, which I haven't unwrapped yet. And you can see that it's got cellophane wrapping on it. And being black outside, it's quite an effective mirror. So that's what I used. I put that down on the table, and this bottle of lovely Prosecco, which was a freebie from the Sunday Times Wine Club. There you go. I liked it because of the many faceted faces on the bottle, which I thought would give quite a good effective picture. And then I shot mostly with the light from the right hand side as you look at the picture, but then I did a quick dash on a quick light on the left hand side just to take away the shade, so you got quite a uniform lighting around the foil on the neck. And it took me, I suppose I did about 10 different shots on this just to get it right, and then I tweaked it a bit in Lightroom using the new masking techniques, which worked a treat. And when I selected subject as the mask, it picked up the bottle and the reflection, so that
cool.
That was quite good. And that's all I did, and it was very simple, using the black cloth draped over my computer monitors.
Great stuff. Cool. Okay, so yeah, that's got quite interesting because it's not a technique I've been, because I don't have an Olympus, been able to do, but it's just interesting to see that working and how that works, because often you're going to do this and you don't really know what you've got until you end the exposure, and then you go, oh yeah, it hasn't quite, so yeah, it's quite a cool way of doing it. John, you haven't done that, have you? Because you're not an Olympus man either. So.
No, I've done it the sort of, well, the traditional way is to do it all in one take, isn't it? And hope you get the result exactly as you want it, so you move your torch around to wherever you want it to be. But the way I normally prefer to do that kind of painting with light technique is shooting multiple shots. That it's kind of a lock off. You lock off the camera, then you layer up in Photoshop. So you'll do exactly what Paul did. Here's an example of it, actually, yeah. So that one was done. Same Maglite, that's a Maglite AA, the double AA Maglite, and that's used to both light the subject. I didn't snoot it, because you can focus the beam if you move the bezel. So normally, sometimes you'll get too much spill. But that's, I think we've got a video of how this is constructed on PhotoBuzz, so you can always take a look at that. But that was made from about probably 5 or 6 different shots. So there's a bit of side lighting from the right, there's side lighting from the left, there's a little bit of front lighting to pick out the logo, there's a touch of backlighting from directly behind, and then that's all done with one Maglite. And then the swirl is, if you unscrew the bezel of a Maglite, you actually expose the bulb. You've got to do it quite carefully, otherwise you can break the bulb really easily. But you'll find on Maglites that if you unscrew the bottom of it, there's another bulb, there's a spare bulb in there. So you can always replace that if you do break one. But that's by exposing the bulb, you can then swirl around the thing by just doing a light trace, and that takes lots of attempts. So if you're building up using sort of an in-camera light and blending mode, if you get it wrong, you've got to kind of start over. But if you do it using the Photoshop method, you can just keep on doing that until you get it right, and then you can keep that shot for the layering sequence.
Yeah,
And the background, the other stuff, the other light source used was string lights, LED string lights. You know, you'll get them from Wilko's for, well, this time of year they'll be about a tenner. Whereas if you wait till after Christmas, you'll pick them up for about £1.50 for a box. So they're just the AA battery string lights. So you get about 20 different coloured LEDs or white LEDs. These were red LEDs. And this was on a metal table. So again, went for the reflection, as Paul did. He used the sort of the wrapped or cling film approach. I just used a steel table on this one and just dragged the lights right up to the subject, then took another shot, dragging them from behind the subject. And then the swirly blue stuff in the background, that's still the red lights, but they've been colorized in Photoshop. And that's by simply doing a dance with a bunch of string lights and just kind of shaking them around to get that shimmery pattern behind.
And trust me, it was amusing watching it when I was at the other side.
Prancing around with a bunch of fairy lights, yeah.
Yes.
Can I just say one thing about the going back to the match, which occurred to me, and I've actually put it in comments. With Olympus, we can use Pro Capture, which takes pictures and buffers them, and might make it easier to do the match one.
Yeah. If you've got that, if you're an Olympus user, have that function, then give it a go. The rest of us are lagging behind you, so we can't do that. But of course, you know, good old-fashioned timing can help as well, and the delete button afterwards is always bloody handy, isn't it? But
that's really useful, that one, yeah, especially for painting with light stuff. You need the delete button an awful lot.
You do. I was just hold on. I'm just gonna. Have you finished talking about that, John, or you got anything else you have? Okay, just checking. I don't have it. Do I have it handy anywhere? I was just going to see if I could find the behind-the-scenes shot of you doing that, because you've got this weird manic look in your eye. No,
always do.
Yeah, I know. If I could find, no, I haven't got it. I haven't got it to hand. I should have pulled that out.
But that's not a manic quickly. Look. That's just called being creatively engaged.
Is it right?
That's what I call it.
Okay. All right. Look, let's we move away a little bit from. We're going to come back to lots of kind of lighting shots and bits and pieces. So hold on, let me just move this out of the way so I can put it down out. Right. So So one of the things I think with indoor photography, particularly still life stuff, I really think it's an area where you can use the most mundane things basically to create some interesting shots, something that kind of makes you go, look at it twice. So obviously this is just a fork, just an ordinary kitchen fork, from my cutlery drawer, and a tile. That's all it is, just a tile that in fact, it's the tile. It's not it's tiles on the kitchen floor. I did this a few years ago now, that I had put on my floor. So they're slate ones, and they've got kind of nice they've got a little bit sheen to them and all the rest of it. And I had a few left over. So it's that, and all I've used here is I've got no other lighting other than window light. But I had a like a blind there which I could pull down and just feather that lighting. So you can do some interesting things and get a little kind of, using limited depth of field. And I tried to, when I was playing around with ages, and again, I think that it's fair to say that when you're doing particularly still life stuff like this, even simple still life stuff, it takes a long time to find the composition that works. And it's actually that perseverance, not just going, that's it, I've done it. Just keep playing around, trying different things, and suddenly something comes together. There's no sort of real, 1 to 5 workflow that you can do to get it right. It is just making those little adjustments. And I think actually I was trying all sorts of stuff, and I wasn't actually even looking at the shadow at first. And then finally, the kind of like, I think I held held it up and look at that shadow. And then I sort of propped it up with something just to make it work there. So you can create really interesting shots literally from anything. The stuff that's in your kitchen drawer is always going to be good. And you say you don't have to have light. So you can add lighting from anything really. If you then do need to, if you don't want to use your window light, lamps, torches, as we've seen, even computer screens, anything like that. If you're doing a long exposure, some of that light will creep in, and it's just worth playing around. John, do you want to add anything to that, or should we move on to
no,
another
just
shot?
observing the chat. I think people want to know if you've got the handles as well as the forks.
Oh, very good. Fork handles.
Or any got any O's?
Oh, the old ones are always the best, aren't they?
You can't beat either of the Ronnies.
Right, I'm just, oh, hello, I've gone backwards somehow. I don't know how I did manage to do that, but anyway. Right, okay, so let's find another photo buzzers.
It is such a lovely picture, though, AJ.
Yeah, it's just simple, isn't it? Say that again?
It is such a lovely picture.
Oh, what, yours? Yes, absolutely. It needed showing again. It needed showing again. Right. So this is Chris Bennett's. We know that because she's left her name on there at the bottom. That's fine. Again, just very similar to the one we were just showing. So Chris, I'm guessing you've done a very similar thing, just moving around, or have you used your Olympus, whatever it's called, function to do this?
Yeah. I used the live comp,
That's the one.
like Paul was referring to. This was done when I was doing a series of photos on coffee. So this is an Irish coffee in the glass with coffee. One of the chocolates is coffee flavoured, and just playing around with some EL wire, electroluminescent wire.
Okay.
Okay.
And they come in different colours. I think that's what it was. It was either that, or it was half a dozen different coloured finger lights, which I attached together on some fishing string. You know, the see-through stuff that you use for fishing.
Yeah.
And then you can't see the string, and just waved them around until I got what I thought was quite a nice effect.
Yeah,
I quite like the
edges of the
neon
glass,
lights.
actually.
Pardon?
I like the way the EL wire, the lit EL wire edges the glass as well with the reflections.
Yeah, and it's all stood on a black reflective tile, so it pushes the light up into the stem of the glass as well.
So did you have to have the maniacal grin as you were dancing around with these lights that John had as well when he was doing it, or did you go for more a sober look while you were doing it?
Probably not sober, because I was probably drinking something coffee flavoured at the same time.
Fair enough. There we go. There's a whole topic for a conversation one week on a Zoom. Yeah, photography while drunk. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
It's the best kind.
Be a lot of wonky horizons, I would imagine. Okay, that's cool. All right, let's have a look. Right, this is another shot we did for, where is it? I've lost it. Here it is. Apologies to those who have done the recent course. Oh, look at that. I haven't squared that up. I knocked that out quickly earlier. I'm sorry about that. Never mind. Ignore that a little bit. Recent raw course, because we played around with this image there. And that's probably why it's got those bits on it, because I hadn't finished doing the thing on it when we were playing with that. And I've just quickly chucked it out of Lightroom. So for those of you who weren't on that course, this is basically a hand in a shower. Okay, very similar. In fact, Kim, because Kim did the raw course with us, and afterwards she said, "Oh yeah, it was good. That one." I must have been kind of influenced by her shot from, I can't remember, 2 or 3 years ago, which I probably was. I don't remember. She did a really cool shot for one of the FMs with a hand on the shower. The idea of this was that we were just trying to create an alien type of hand. So obviously for an alien hand, you have to use, talk of the wife, she just messaged me. I have to use the wife's hand because it doesn't get any more alien than that, frankly. So it's Amanda's hand against the shower with some lighting from the back. And then we played around with it in Lightroom to give it this kind of this blue toning and this kind of round, sort of almost like it's a portal or something like that, or a window, to do that, to give it a Ridley Scott look. So that's what we went with. The fun, create your own alien hand with a Ridley Scott look in the feature, did we? And it actually is quite fun. And there's a lot of just basically pumping up the clarity, pumping up the texture on it, and then just bringing some blue in. If you saw the original on this, it's just, I didn't even worry about what the white balance was. It was a little bit warm because I think we had a light on in the bathroom, so it was a very orangey shot to start with, and then I've just toned it and done everything in Lightroom just to bring out those kind of weird blue tones. And the thing that I thought was look like a little bit like suckers on the fingers is, you know, that it's incredibly light touch on the shower screen to actually do that. In fact, I tried it at first. I was like, oh no, I don't like that. Sort of, can you not, you know, take the hand away? But as soon as you took the hand away, actually the shot didn't work in the same way. So I was like, no, but a little bit harder to get that look. So we've broken it a little bit, this image, to create this kind of mood and this appearance, but and have a little bit of fun with it. John, you got anything to add while I find the next picture?
No, it's just very briefly that even the border and also the intensity of the light source, the backlighting source there, that isn't actually in the original. That's all created in Lightroom as well, using the radial filter tool. So that even the light, that glow from top left, is all done in Lightroom.
Yes, everything, literally everything in Lightroom. So basically creating the stops. Honestly, leave me alone. Oh, she's telling me she's left a key under there. Say the wife's out for another Christmas meal tonight. It's terrible. Right, okay. She thinks I'm going home. I'm going to the pub. That's a ridiculous idea. Right, okay. So let's have a look at this one that Veronica sent me, which I rather liked. Really nice and simple. Veronica, are you able to tell us kind of the story behind this shot?
Well, it was taken in January this year. Just messing around during lockdown indoors. It's just a fairly straightforward still life shot with objects taken from around the house. Obviously sitting on a table there. Just to the left, there's an ordinary table lamp over which I put a sort of lacy scarf. And then coming in at an angle, there's a pen torch, but you can just see a sort of very vague sort of bluey pool of water where the petals are, not water, bluey sort of pool of light, where the petals are. And I just quite like the effect of it.
No, absolutely. It's those combinations. It's the nice simple, and you say often the simple does really work with still life. It's just a nice simple arrangement of the objects that you've got. And then the lighting that you've made work, this kind of interesting background, which I think is really rather cool. Don't you think that?
I think that's the scarf that did that.
Yes.
I just tried it and I was quite surprised by what happened, so I just kept it there. And I quite liked it. The other thing I was quite interested by is that the pen torch, which I actually placed on the corner of the settee in the lounge. It has a really bright white light, very pointed, but the intense blue at the bottom that is the edge of the table, which is actually a really pale blue, and it comes out like that.
Okay, that's interesting. I was going to ask what that was actually, because actually that helps as well. It kind of just frames it in nicely. But I think what you just said there is the interesting thing about when you do stuff like this and you play around with, particularly with lighting, with objects, you suddenly, oh, that's interesting, and you get effects and looks that you're not necessarily expecting to get, and I think that's always what's interesting about this kind of photography. Cool.
Yeah, it's a good example as well. If ever you find that if you think your lighting feels a bit bland on a particular scene, modify it in some way. Sometimes you'll be diffusing it to soften the shadows it casts, or sometimes you'll be doing what's normally referred to as a gobo effect, when you've got some kind of stencil, which could be a scarf, a doily, a lacy thing, or a cutout pattern, and just place that over the light source so you're breaking it up and casting those mottled shadows. But I think it's that intriguing lighting in the background just lifts the whole shot. So well done, yeah.
Yeah, no,
thank you.
Excellent. In fact, I'm going to stick. Let's just have this might kind of be connected. I don't know, well, not connected, but Jane, you're there, aren't you? I'm sure I saw Jane there. Jane Goff. Is she not in? Can you unmute
I
yourself?
am, sorry.
Oh my God, thank God for
Sorry.
that. Had you fallen asleep, love? I know it's late.
No, my mouse was on the other screen.
Okay, so this is a kind of interesting, very interesting shot. So just talk us through what you've done here, because there's a couple of things going on, I think.
Yeah, it's actually a white candle holder, the metal candle holder. It's on in front of a black background on a black shiny tile. The lights inside, I think, were red originally, and the background is just a background I took of out of focus lights. So
So what aperture have you used here? Can you remember?
Oh God, no, not a clue. Can't remember.
It's got to be fairly wide, I would have thought, just
Yeah.
to get that really nice bokeh that you've got in the background.
Yeah, that's a completely separate shot. That's probably just literally an out of focus shot, and I've just blended it in as a background layer.
Right.
And then yeah, played around with some Nick FX color.
So is these little pink dots on here? Is that another texture layer you've added, or is that has that happened by accident during the blending?
No, it's texture from within one of the presets in Color FX.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
I've used it a couple of times. I can't remember which one it is. I've kind of built up a recipe kind of thing, adding lots of different filters, and it's one of the two-tone color ones, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Now that's good. I like the overall feel of it. I like the purples and the pinks and stuff. It kind of it works really nicely together, doesn't it? So I think that's rather good.
Thank you.
Now, John, do you think while I find the next picture, it's time for a joke? It's Christmas.
No.
Christmas, isn't it? Time for Christmas.
Come on. You give him a joke while I'm deciding the next picture we're going to put.
All right. I thought, Andrew,
yes,
try growing car parts on my allotment this year. It's harvest time, and I've had a bumper crop.
Oh, I like that one, John.
That?
Can I hear any? I can't hear any groans. Are they all muted?
I think there's some tumbleweed in the background somewhere.
It's not even worth a groan.
Oh, come on, it is. I tell you what, while you're there, Paul, my mate was telling me that he just failed his exam in Aboriginal music. I said, did you redo it?
Oh dear. That's almost as bad as the one you put in the email this afternoon.
Would you, John? I think they're insulting our gags. I'm not happy about that.
If that's the case, then I'll have to leave them with this. I went to see my GP today, and I said, "Doctor, I think I've got Hermes." He said, "Don't you mean herpes?" I said, "No, I think I'm a carrier."
I'm laughing, and I know the joke because I gave it to you, but so I think they're all funny. Very good.
But anyway, we were talking about bokeh earlier.
Yes, I thought this would be a good segue to carry on.
You like to pronounce it? The Japanese word for fuzziness. You can shape your bokeh however you like. This is one of those. It's literally a mugshot. That was almost another joke there. You see? Yeah, this mugshot. This is the same set of string lights as was used with me dancing around with a strange expression, and it's we've just arranged them. We've used a black cloth, draped them down so they form the right kind of shape. So we've got a load of red string lights in the background, quite a distance away from the mug itself. And then what I've done is actually cut out a heart shape from a piece of black card. So you fold your card over and do half the heart, open it out, you got your heart. And that was shaped roughly to the same size as the object lens on a 50mm. So I used a 50mm f1.4 for this. Opened it wide open to 1.4, and then if you hold the heart above the lens, just in front of the lens, you will get that shape on the defocused areas. But you won't actually see any problems with the lens itself. It's not going to give you a heart-shaped aperture around the shot. It's simply going to give you a heart-shaped aperture for within the bokeh in the shot. So that's how we did it, and it's really easy to do. So you can make your aperture shape whatever you want to do. Go for a star shape, heart shape, cross shape, whatever you want. And that is how it will appear in your defocused areas. In your OOFAs, you will get that shape. And the steam we added, that was just we had standing by. tipped the steam in, and it was a bit of
Tipped the steam in, did we? I don't remember. I remember tipping water in.
Water in, yes. Well, water is steam, isn't it?
Well,
yes. Water is steam.
Yes, it is. Yes, no, we did that. Well, actually, we actually added the steam.
I'm not sure I understand how you did that again.
The steam or the bottle?
The heart's cut out.
Okay, so it's basically you've cutting out. So you've got if you make out a card,
I understand
the size.
that bit.
Yeah.
I understand that bit. It's where do you put it? How far in front of the lens do you put it?
Right on the lens.
Right on
you
it.
Actually put it. You turn your object lens into a heart aperture, a heart shape. So the hole is the heart. You don't put a black heart on it. That would work as well, but in reverse. But you cut out a heart shape, so you've got a black card with a heart-shaped hole in the middle, and then you put that over the lens. The heart has to be smaller than your lens, but that's all you need to do. Just hold it over it, directly over it.
That's just one shot then, is it? It's not a composite where you took a picture of the mug first and then you did the...
No,
that's all done in one shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really easy to do. Just cut out a shape that's smaller than your lens's diameter, pop it over the lens, and make sure you've got something out of focus. You won't see it through the viewfinder, but if you use live view, you will see the shapes. So if you switch to live view and hold any shape, you could just do it like that with your finger, and you'll see whatever shape you create with your finger, hold that over the lens, and you will get that shape coming through in out of focus areas. So really simple to do and quite fun to set up.
Cheers. John, just talking about hearts, I couldn't undo the buttons on my jumper the other day, and I tried pulling it over my head, but it got stuck. So I had to spend a whole day in A&E waiting to see a cardiologist.
Oh, God.
It just seemed to fit. I don't know,
Yeah.
Is that your coat just to your right-hand side?
It is flung over my cable.
I think I can hear an engine running. Is that the car outside, Andrew, for you to get in?
Brilliant. Okay, we're going to keep them coming. You don't escape that easily. It's nearly Christmas.
You say the cardiologist. I was at the doctor's the other day, and the doctor said, "Can we talk about your weight?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." It was about 25 minutes, but the chairs were comfortable.
Oh, brilliant. Right, okay. So another Photo Buzzers picture. Barry, who literally sent this to me 3 minutes before we came on air. Now, Barry, what I want to know here, mate, is where did you get this amazing idea from?
I believe it was from you, Andrew. Not that long ago.
Well, hey, you see, we set them up. So no, go on. I think this is really cool. Yeah, I know we've talked and looked at some of these before. In fact, I think I might even have one here somewhere. The original shot we did, but yeah. So just for those who maybe missed that at the time, or people need a refresher, what did you do?
I had one of those plastic sandwich rather than using polythene for wrapping sandwiches up. I usually go with a plastic bag that I can put sandwiches in that you can wash out. And I just noticed I'd left it on the table and there was a vase behind and it was just sort of doing a diffused colouring through the sandwich bag. And then I just happened to notice that my wife had got some Michaelmas daisies and put them in a little vase. So I just grabbed them, backlit them, and that's what I got. I actually also tried to run it through Topaz denoise to see what would happen to it.
Yeah.
And it didn't really sort of do anything that made it look, I quite like the sort of the dottiness of the
the texture is very much part of the shot, isn't it? I think if you were able to, I think there'd be too much texture for denoise to do, really. Yeah. But yeah, I think if you lost that, actually you'd lose part of what makes the shot work, really. So yeah, it's cool. No, I think it's really cool.
I love that sense of mystery in these kind of shots when they're very diffused. That kind of looking through the fog is great because there's that half abstract appeal to them. So nice one, Barry.
So that actually, Barry, I haven't set this up. It happened because I've got a whole folder of still have here. So that was the original one, I think, that we did during the during the lockdown, and I think I did on PhotoBuzz, and we did on a Zoom then, didn't we? So it's just it's a nice way. And mine was slightly different. It's very similar, backlit. I think I was using a light, or was it window? I can't remember now. But anyway, backlit, and then just tissue paper that I'd attached to an old frame. And then the key, and I think it's the same on yours, is having the object pushed really tight to the paper, or to the whatever it is the diffusion is. And again, without all this texture in here, you lose part of the artiness of it. I think that that's really important. And again, it's as I'm repeating myself as I frequently do, but again, making sure that the shapes are simple, like as you would with a silhouette or something, is really important for the effectiveness. Because the more I kind of try to muddle those up, or the more or put too much on there, the less effective it became, I think, when we're doing that. But there you go.
Everything that doesn't work as a silhouette is unlikely to work in this context, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think so. While I'm getting another image up, John, haven't you got for Barry? Haven't you got a Yorkshire joke somewhere there?
You want a Yorkshire joke? All right. Yorkshireman walks into a vet. Sum it up with a cat. Vet says, "Is it at home?" Yorkshireman says, "Nah, it's not at home. It's here in basket."
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
I love the fact we're designing them now for PhotoBuzz's kind of regional accents as well. I mean, this takes a lot of thought and care, doesn't it?
That was my attempted Welsh accent as well, so it shows how good that is.
Oh dear, oh dear. Right,
Andrew.
Yes.
I'm going to order a takeaway, and I've just rung up, and just to check that. So I've rung up the Chinese, and I've said, "Do you deliver?" And they says, "Yes, we do deliver." I says, "Oh, great. I'll have liver and onions then, please."
Oh, well, keep them coming. Anyone feel free to join in the jokes. Right, okay. I just thought, again, just for variety's sake, different still life stuff. The olds kind of use it. If anybody is lucky enough to have kind of any old kind of skulls and get a gothic look, it's quite good. I borrowed this. I remember it's again quite an old shot, but I borrowed this sheep skull off a friend, and just basically set it up. Again, this is just natural light.
Just stop you there a second. So Andrew has friends with sheep skulls.
I know. It's worrying, isn't it? It is worrying. Actually, I tell you what, it was Ben. Ginger-headed Ben. He used to work at Warehouse Express, John, who came and worked for me for a while on PP.
Yeah, I can imagine him having a collection of skulls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
like a Predator or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Anyway, so he'd done all the hard work of cleaning the thing up. I just borrowed it for a little while and did various different things with it. But yeah, it's so simple. Again, if you have the right prop, if you like, you can do. I mean, I think it's quite a gothic-y looking shot, isn't it? And I say it's just on a tree, an old kind of gnarly willow tree that's in the village, kind of propped in the crook there because I like the textures of it went with, and the dark bit behind is where the light's not reaching. And then I just put a little bit like Jane. I've just put a texture over it, and then I painted out some of the texture over the actual most of the skull itself. So it's about texture and shape and that contrast between the skull and the rest of the image. So technically not indoors, I know, but it could have easily been done and set up indoors. So I just did it, nipped it on to the outside. I was just thinking I ought to tell you, John, that I grew up in a really rough part of town. And the local gang members used to cover me with chocolate and cream and put a cherry on my head. I've got to say, life was really tough in the ghetto.
Well, I think I'll have to use one of Barry's retorts on the chat just to say that, bearing in mind you had a sheep skull up, you are weird.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that is poor. Right. Okay, so this is another shot that we did fairly recently, actually for the feature that some of these images on, and there was an idea behind this shot, wasn't there, John? Which sort of kind of works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the battle at dawn, but the dawn is actually just a desk lamp, just a circular desk lamp, which most of us have kicking around, and of course the battle is just chess pieces. So it took a long time to get the lines right, and there's actually a cheat in the perspective where they're sort of facing together. They're actually in more of a V shape to get that perspective working effectively. But yeah, just really simple, and that's it. The backlighting is doing nearly all the work, but you'll notice on the two rooks at the extreme left and right, there's a bit of edge lighting as well, because they would disappear into the shadows. So to bring those out, it's just a couple of little LED lamps, sort of 3/4 back. So side and back lighting, or 3/4 lighting from the rear, just brings out the edge on those. And obviously you can see on some of the other pieces, it's just spilling over to give that edge, just to cut them out. But that's it. And then the warmth was literally done with camera white balance. So it's completely in camera. There was no kind of Photoshop or Lightroom required for it. Again, a reflective surface. I mean, a good reflective surface. We talked a little bit about, you know, with some of the shots, with things that are pre-wrapped in plastic or whatever, or with true mirror finishes. But there are a lot of still life photographers love the advantage of using things like cling film, but not wrapping it. I mean, this is just a straight steel reflective desk. But if you want to get an interesting reflection beneath your subject, just try using some cling film, but don't make it tight. Just leave it slightly loose, and you get that diffuse kind of broken reflection, which can look really cool if you're doing delicate still lifes. But not using this shot, but just something that I thought was worth mentioning if you want to find some interesting reflective surfaces.
John, on that reflection thing, when I was doing some aviation photography, one of the guys there had a rough cut shape of acrylic.
Okay.
Throw it down it was defocused, so you had this reflection of the aircraft in what looked like a puddle.
Ah, right.
So he had a portable puddle,
a portable puddle just to throw. Yeah. Oh, great stuff!
I thought it was a cracking idea.
Yeah,
everyone should have a portable puddle.
Indeed. Or a large bladder, one of the two.
Well, I was going to say, you sort of have got a portable bladder, puddle, haven't you? Your bladder does it for you, especially at our age. But anyway, there you go. Talking of our age, I just thought I ought to mention that my local crematorium has just been voted the best in the country. It's the creme de la creme.
Oh, no.
I wasn't sure what you were talking about there. I thought I'd heard you say crematorium. Is there something to do with dead light?
It may well be. Who knows? Right. Has any of the buzzers whose picture I have? Ah, yes, Kim. Here we go. Right. Here's a rather lovely shot from Kim, which looks like the outside trying to get in somehow. So, Kim, if you're sober enough, can you talk us through this shot? Oh no, she's nodded off. She's been at the wine. Oh no, you're here. Sorry. That's good.
It's it's a shot from inside a greenhouse, looking out.
Yeah.
Just mosses growing up in the corner.
Okay.
So it's a sort of macro shot, which I did a few tweaks in Adobe Camera Raw, and then went into Luminar and used layers and masks to bring out detail and texture and things like that.
Right. Yeah. Is it a natural triptych you've got there then? So the panels are all actually camera. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the greenhouse lines on the greenhouse.
Right.
Frame.
That's really effective.
Yeah, it is. So how much of the texture have you added then? Quite a lot of it, or is some of that just natural on the glass?
A lot of it's on the glass because it was dirty, so it was kind of a little bit opaque because of the dirt on the glass.
Yeah.
But in Luminar, I brought it out more.
Works, doesn't it? I love texture. I think if you where you can use it in the right way, it just adds that that hint of painterliness to everything when you do it like that. So it kind of instantly gives it a sense of greater artiness, I guess. John, is that the right way of putting it? I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, anything that kind of distorts and breaks things up seems to immediately add more artiness. You think of lots of shots, particularly portraits. Moody portraits have got buckets of grain and texture in, and it's just that sort of slightly destructive route can actually be really productive when it comes to taking arty style shots.
Yeah, no, that's cool. No, I really like it. Just change the subject a second, John. you know, I've got a narrow boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Suddenly, yeah. Well, ever since I actually converted my ever since I converted my narrowboat to travel on the land, so many places have now banned me from entering. Apparently, they're sick of me continually barging in.
Oh, Lord.
That does remind me of something. You know,
Is it?
Oh,
crime in multi-story car parks. It's wrong on so many levels.
Oh dear, oh dear. What's the difference between a dirty bus stop and a lobster with breast implants?
Oh my God, no
One's
idea.
a crusty bus station and the other's a busty crustacean.
Oh, very good.
And my background actually, oh, you carry on. I'll talk about my background at the end.
Okay, fine. We can't wait to talk about your background.
Very dodgy background.
Yeah, exactly. Very dodgy. Right. Okay. So this is has anybody tried to do a physiogram like this before? Anybody? Anybody know? I can't see anybody's face, John. So is anybody going their hand in the air or saying?
I can't see everyone. I'm trying to look at. I mean, just shout out if you've. Hang on. Let me.
I haven't.
No. Okay. So
I've
anybody?
done spyrographs with lights, torches on the end of strings.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Physio. They call it. Yeah. It's sort of like a spirograph, isn't it? The photographic term is physiogram. So basically, yeah. So in order to do this, we did this for the feature recently. You're basically attaching a small pen style torch to a piece of string to a ceiling, putting the camera on the floor, looking up to it, shutting all the lights out, and then leaving, then giving a little bit of a swing and allowing kind of gravity and the way gravity works for the light to trace itself across the frame. Okay, now this is actually 3 different shots that we've then just kind of blended together to transform, because it'd be far too complicated to get that in one shot. And depending on whether you do it with a white torch, obviously you could change you could put a gel over the torch and do different colors, but actually it's often easier just to make those basic changes in Photoshop, isn't it, John? Just to do the color change.
You can just colorize that particular layer when you and of course, as long as your camera hasn't moved for your various shots, everything is going to line up because it hasn't moved. So your point of rotation, I mean, the actual torch string, use something like just if you've got a pendant in the middle of a room, get yourself plenty of space. Use a light fitting like a pendant, and hang a torch off it on about a yard's worth of string, and then spin it. One thing that you've got to be careful of is not breaking the beam. If you use a regular torch, like I mean, if we think of Paul's mag light earlier, without the snoot on, if you use a regular torch, as the torch kind of flicks and twists when it's spinning, you can lose contact, between light and camera.
But there is one bit in this image where it's gone, actually, isn't there? Which we
slightly missed. But if you take the bezel off a mag light and expose the bulb, then that can't happen. You'll have continual line of sight all the way through, unless you've got a slight interruption in the contact, which we had in that point. But yeah, just spin it, and you don't know what you've got until you try it. You could perhaps frame up on it just about if you set a very low tripod and lay down on the floor underneath it to look through the viewfinder. But in the main, drop a plumb line down. That's where you put the middle of your lens, pre-focus on the distance of the torch. So that's going to be probably, a meter from the camera or whatever, and then swing it. But start swinging before, start shooting and then start swinging. You may find you have to clear up a few of the edges as the torch enters, but not often. You can obviously get some really good patterns, and a really long exposure, a bulb exposure. If you use a cable release, you can just keep it spinning forever. But go for, you need to obviously keep it very small, the aperture. So you're looking at kind of, these were shot at f/16, just using a very humble, low powered incandescent mag light, not an LED one. So you may need to shut down to something like f/22, so a really fully closed aperture to if you need a really long trail.
Yeah, no, absolutely. John, I've got some breaking news just come in from the BBC. A man was strip searched at the airport and was found to have a tin of spam up his bum. It's believed he's from the terrorist group Hamas.
Oh no!
Anyway,
God.
we're amusing ourselves. I don't care. At the end of the day, John and I don't care whether we're amusing you or not, because it's all about amusing ourselves here. John, this is your daughter for taken a few years ago, and it's a little bit different. We haven't got, don't often think
she's 37 now. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Grown up with grandchildren of her own. But yeah, this is just purely using candlelight to give this really soft look, isn't it? And it's a valid indoor shot. You shot this indoors because it'd be very difficult to do that outdoors.
Yeah, you can do portraits in really low light conditions. Obviously, this literally is one single candle. You can tell I haven't cheated it by using a bit of flash. Not 4 candles, sadly, just one candle.
Okay.
But yeah, you can tell by the catch lights. There's only one catch light that's coming directly from the candle. They're quite easy to set up, obviously, but what you've got to do is use a very high ISO and obviously limit your depth of field. So focus becomes critical. And I think this would probably be something like, I don't know, a 15th or a 30th of a second. So you need your subject to be in a position where they can keep pretty motionless, so you don't get subject blur in the shot. But you can see there, this is a wide open shot. This will be on a 50mm. This will be at probably f1.4 or f1.8, about 15th, just from the candlelight. And when you process the candlelight is really warm, literally in terms of its color temperature. So you have to sort of be quite careful when you convert the white balance, when you convert the raw file. But this was taken, I think this would have been back in, I reckon this would have been around the time of the launch of the, which was it, Nikon D3.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gosh,
and that was the big leap forward. Some may argue it was the last leap forward in DSLR technology to a degree, where we had the ability to shoot at very high ISOs without getting loads and loads of noise. So this was kind of testing the camera's ability. So this is on a 12 megapixel D3, and pretty clean shot considering it was taken at 16 or maybe slightly, maybe 3200. This one might have been.
Yeah, but and that camera literally is ancient now, and really in digital camera terms, isn't it? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean we're going back, best part of 15 years to get back to that time. So all cameras can now do this. Even APS-C cameras can give you the same kind of quality at that stage. But I think the eye contact is one of the tricky things, because I took a brace of shots, some with her looking at me, some with her looking at the candle. And I think with these kind of very low light, very intimate kind of portraits, the focus can't really be on the viewer. You can't. They need to be quite candid. So you're kind of getting the intrusion on a private moment. You're photographing someone's thoughts rather than taking a picture of them gurning at the camera. So I think keep eyes off and keep them focused on the thing, which obviously in this case is the candle, and it gives a much moodier and more powerful result as a consequence of that.
Cool. No, cool. I like that shot.
Are you with that image? Are you putting a bit of negative compensation in, or?
Let me think. I shot manually because candlelight is awkward, because like matches flaring, it flickers. And obviously, the shot's static there. I'm wide open, so I'll be at about f1.4, but I won't have, I don't think I compensated very much at all, because it's changing all the time, the light, because as the, oxygen burns and hits the wick, the candle's going brighter, darker, brighter, darker, brighter, darker. It's like, an old school flickering TV screen. There's no fixed zone. So you've got to kind of meter between the ears, really, and just guess that, and then take up the slack in the raw conversion.
Okay, right.
It's cool. Okay. Is there anybody's picture that anybody sent me a picture? I know I haven't shown all of them, because a few people send me, a number, but is there anybody who sent me a picture and I haven't showed the picture? Shout now, and then I'll try and find it. But I think I've shown somebody something from everybody, so I think that was the important thing, really, that I wanted to do.
While you're looking for that, Andrew, I must mention my wife said to me that I love you more than a traffic island. I think it was a compliment in a roundabout way.
Right.
But the thing is, John. In fact, hold on. Let's stop screen sharing, because we sort of reached it. We're nearly the end. Hold on, stop share. So we're back. Am I back? Yeah. Is that me now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant. Thank you. I mean, I don't want to leave things on a sad note, but I am a little bit sad to tell you that my clothes horse has actually broken beyond repair after 30 years. It's the end of an era.
Oh, shit.
Why is nobody? I don't understand why they're not all laughing, John.
Well, your body still looks pretty intact.
Well, you know,
You're being the close horse.
There you go. I'll tell you just one last thing. If anybody out there genuinely has got any ideas how I can fix my terrible condensation problem, can you please pop round? The kettle's always on.
Enough.
I was definitely not going to say anything. Do you want me to
time to
briefly
get your
tell you
coat.
about this?
Oh yes, your background. Go on then, Paul. Tell us
Yeah.
about it. I think we scared half the people away by the looks of it.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised really.
Well, there you
Okay.
go. They're lost.
Yeah, this was well, ignore the blobs there. It's just been picked up, but I had to do a colour indoor picture during lockdown for something or other, and I did that in front of my computer screen. And that screen in the background, that swirly massive colour, is a psychedelic colour image that I picked off the internet somewhere and just left it on my screen with these crayons set in a sandwich tin with sand in to get them upright and keep them upright. And that's another thing that could possibly be done. Just go and look for psychedelic images on the internet.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, Andrew, have you got the egg shot there?
No, I haven't actually.
Haven't
That's
you?
It's your shot. I didn't have it.
That's awful.
Do you mean the egg shot we did in the magazine 2 years ago?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I ain't got it, I'm afraid.
I was going to say, because that used a computer background as well. We just used a sky on the computer and backlit with that, using similar techniques, Paul. So we set the still life up in front of the screen and use the screen as the background. In that case, it was a sky. But yeah, no, it's a good technique to try, actually.
Thought it was going to be a yoke.
Sorry, what was that? Oh, a bit of a yoke. Oh dear, oh dear.
Oh, dear. Right, I think it's catching. Joking apart, there's been no jokes clearly tonight, but look, the idea of that was just to kind of, Christmas is coming, then you're going to have lots of lights about in the house, well, apart from Bar Humbug over there with his humbugs behind him. Why not use them? Have a bit of fun, have a little bit of a play around, and see. I'd be really interested who could come up with the best sort of indoor, kind of something a little bit different, using the fairy lights, doing John's manic waving things around. I mean, if nothing else, if your other halves have got no idea what you're doing, they always wonder what you're doing in a darkened room, playing with these different things. It always causes some amusement for them. So have a go with that. And what we'll call it a night. I've only got one more joke for you, which I'll do right at the end. But I hope you did enjoy. I had a bit of fun tonight. We won't do another one of these this year, so it's Happy Christmas directly from us. Although obviously we'll be on the lounge and no doubt see you all there. But I hope everybody here has a really good Christmas. I hope those with injuries, so Charles and also Kim and Rosie, who's not with us tonight, and anybody else who may have an injury I don't even know about. Recovers and has a good Christmas. I hope you all have a good Christmas. I genuinely do. So I'm going to leave you with this one because it's a more intellectual one, and I feel now you're at the level that we can do this as the final gag of the night. And I can't remember how to write 1,000, 51, 6, and 500 in Roman numerals. I am livid.
Oh,
good grief.
Well done. That's a good one. That's not bad at all.
Save the best.
Maybe don't give up the day job.
Save
AJ,
what day job?
Can I make a suggestion for all those people who are going to pick up the recording that you put a disclaimer about bad jokes?
Oh yes,
About
maybe
bad
that's
jokes.
that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, we will guarantee that the Zoom will come with loads of bad jokes. But what would Christmas be without bad jokes? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I have to give my mate Nigel the credit for these, because every week he puts another bad joke on his Facebook page. So I just went and nicked them all off him. So it's really Nigel's fault, and I know we'll do it next year as well. So you'll have them all next year. But there you go.
They'll be the same jokes, yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, good night all. Hope you enjoyed that. Have a good Christmas if we don't speak again. See you later, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.